Can I just say something? Honestly, I think that if the trans women that were competing in sports looked more like this and less like this, there'd be way less criticism. I've been saying it, I mean most of us have, and can I just add that most of us don't actually ever comment or bring this up unless it's in direct response to somebody calling us transphobic or an article that's written calling us transphobic for even questioning this all. The ACLU wrote a post called 4 Myths About Trans People in School Sports a few months back, and here's what they had to say. Fact 1, trans girls are girls. Trans girls are trans girls, and that's the fact. Biology-wise, they are different than biological women, but let's see what they have to say. Myth, sex is binary, apparent at birth and unidentifiable through singular biological characteristics. Okay, I'll give you that. There is no one way for our bodies to be. Women, including women who are transgender, intersex, disabled, blah, 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 have a range of different physical characteristics. Biological sex and gender are not binaries. There is no set hormone range, body parts, or chromosomes that all people of a particular sex or gender have. Okay, yeah, but biologically trans women are much more different than biological women. Biological women, yes, have variances compared to other biological women, but trans women have way different variations. I'm just saying. Fact 2, trans athletes do not have an unfair advantage in sports. Myth. Trans athletes' physiological characteristics provide an unfair advantage over cisgender athletes. Here with my friend Sarah, we're gonna talk about the bullshit. I mean, it depends on obviously when somebody transitions, right? How long have they been inhibiting a testosterone-driven body?
If they never went through male puberty, there is no advantage. But we also know that there's no data to show like what the ratio is, how long somebody went through male puberty to how long they need to be on hormones to erase that advantage. Like a person that went through a year of male puberty and then they go on female hormones.
For 2 years. Did it erase that 1 year?
I mean, I've been on hormones for just over 2.5 years where I should have no advantage, right? I know for a fact. My spin times, I've been doing spin class for a year. My power numbers in spin class would put me in the 80th percentile, but it would put me on like the 35th percentile among men.
Trans athletes vary in athletic ability, just like cisgender athletes. In many states, the very same cis girls who have claimed that trans athletes have an unfair advantage have consistently performed as well or better than trans competitions. Like a lot of people were getting on Laurel Hubbard, whatever the hell her name is. Oh, well, she didn't win though, she didn't win. Yeah, but she took a biological woman's place in the Olympics who had been training for years. That's more the argument than, oh, trans women aren't gonna win everything. It's, yeah, but you're taking the spot of someone that's been training their whole lives potentially, and you've been training 2-3 years, and because you have an advantage, you're taking their place. There are gonna be some biological women that can beat some trans women, just like when I played against boys, there were some girls that were better than the boys, but that doesn't mean that it's still fair for the boys to play against the girls, and for the girls to not have their own space. A new study, though, does show that trans people do have an advantage over biological women. This study comes out of the UK, which is kind of funny because the UK is like one of the biggest SJW centers at the moment. Trans athletes do have an advantage when competing in female sport, new guidance says. The report from the Sports Council's Equality Group concluded that trans women have an advantage in some sports, even when testosterone levels have been reduced. And yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? Because lowering testosterone does create certain changes, but doesn't create other changes. It doesn't change bone density, height, hand size, foot size, and a number of other things if they in fact did go through male puberty. Currently, under international Olympic guidelines, transgender athletes can compete in elite sport as a woman provided their testosterone levels are below 10 nanomoles, never heard of that word, per liter for at least 12 months before their first competition. Okay, so yes, we've known that. A lot of biological women were fighting against this. Let's see what else this says. However, the new review from the Sports Council's Equality Group, which includes UK Sports, Sport England, Sportswiz, okay, a bunch of people, ruled that testosterone suppression does not take away the physical advantage of trans women in female sport. We've been saying this. All right, what else does it say? The long-awaited document reviews the latest research is based on interviews with 300 people and 175 organizations, took 18 months to complete. Decent amount of people. Long-term evidence indicates that males have numerous physical advantages in sports compared with females, and this is recognized in law. We've been saying this shit. Of course, they are going to do their best to be trans inclusive, which, you know, obviously I'm all for if it's done fairly. So what is their plan from here on out. Some have suggested non-contact versions of the sports so that trans women can be included. Others, like myself and a bunch of you guys, have suggested open categories, which any person of any gender can compete. We've been proposing this for a while. I'm glad they listened. The guidelines say male athletes, on an average, have a 10 to 12% performance advantage over female competitors in swimming and running events, and that increases to a 20% advantage in jumping events, and even better, a 35% greater performance in strength-based sports such as weightlifting for similar-sized athletes. Yeah, this makes sense. The US sports councils are unequivocal in saying that suppressing testosterone for 12 months cannot guarantee fairness. Biological women all over the world are simultaneously taking a deep breath of relief. There appears to be a retention of physical capacity in transgender people who suppress testosterone from male levels. Such physical differences, will also impact on safety parameters in sports, which are combat, collision, or contact in nature. And I think this is a great first step for biological women's rights in sports. I hope everybody else soon follows suit. Sports all over the world will very soon be forced to consider if they are putting transgender rights above biological women's rights, and then they have to figure out how best to allow each of them to play and to make the playing field, pun intended, fair. Because I am curious though, let's see what Twitter has to say about this. Someone wrong. Of course they do, which is why all the successful trans athletes compete in female sport. True. If it was a level playing field, we would have trans athletes succeeding in male sports. Also, you don't usually see a ton of trans men winning in male categories in male sports, just saying. My favorite Twitter comment of the day is this person said, "Any woman could have told you this for free. Why are we spending all of this money, millions of dollars potentially, for us to just sit here and be like, yeah, we told you so? Like, we've known this for years, like it's biology. Why did you need $1 million study or whatever to prove that this is true?" Is this whole study, like, I hate to use this word because I'm not a social justice-y person, but like, is this like a mansplaining study of something women have been telling the Olympic committees, etc. for years? Honestly though, most of the comments on Twitter are actually sensible. So good job, Twitter, for a change. Let me know what you guys think in the comments though. Were you one of these people that thought that trans women did not have a biological advantage? Of course, depending on when they started puberty or if they went through male puberty. What are your thoughts on how to be both inclusive and fair with trans women and biological women in sports? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're not already, go and subscribe to my locals page. It is completely free to sign up. If you can afford it though, please donate $5. It helps me a ton to continue creating content like this, and also a ton of never before seen content on that page. Make sure you subscribe to this channel if you are not already, and other than that, I will see you guys back here in a few days with a brand new video. Until then, I love you. Love yourselves.